and welcome to the For Her Empire podcast. I'm your host, Abby Welcher, and in this podcast, we address the personal and the business issues that female entrepreneurs face in their day-to-day lives. My guest today is Amy Grace. Woo! I'm gonna get like those audio effects that do like the clapping thing one day. I'm gonna get that just so I can get that hype going. But until then, woo!
Woo!
Thank you for indulging me in this. Amy is the founder of AMG Innovative Consultants, Inc. I guess, at the last part there. And she helps Main Street businesses get more visibility online, which is pretty awesome because right now, a lot of local businesses and physical stores, physical businesses, especially service providers and e-commerce, no one's really getting as much traction these days. And most people actually closing their stores and sticking to downsizing their business to a home-based business, and then maybe later go back to your store. And today, Amy's gonna teach us how to be more visible online. She's gonna show us how to use Google Analytics and Google My Business to understand your ideal client. So, over to you, Amy. Tell us more about you and your stuff. You're the guru here.
Yeah. So, I help businesses who are tired of losing sales and being on an income roller coaster. And what I bring that's different is I understand data and how that interacts with human behavior. So when I help clients find their ideal client and that language that you use for your ideal client, I use Google Analytics to measure how well users are receptive to the new language you're using, say, on your website. Google My Business comes into play because you're never going to get found on Google if you're not on Google My Business. It's all about your ideal client is on Google. You need to be where Google can find you as well. And that's kind of where I start with everybody, because I like to have a measurement system in place so we know how your ideal clients are working. If you're finding your ideal client and they're finding you on your website.
Okay. So will this work if you're already an established business with some amount of regular traffic coming to your website?
Yep. It works for brand new businesses, or it works for if you're already established. Sometimes it's a little bit easier if you have Google Analytics in place.
Yeah.
But if you're still struggling and being on that income roller coaster, you definitely don't have that ideal client language on your website to bring in the right people. So there's a demo on my Instagram page of me walking through my own personal website and how I use Google Analytics. And I use mine because I don't spend as much time on my website as I do everybody else's.
I can definitely relate.
It's like I need to hire someone to do what I do for others.
Yeah, I know. It's like doing it for someone. Yeah, doing it for myself. I will. It never gets done.
Yep. So what was interesting is I pulled up user acquisition for me. I'm like, so let's see how I'm doing with my own ideal client work, right? My organic traffic is at 50%. So what that means is Google and other search engines are half the time sending me the right person to look at my website. What was really awesome is my engagement rate, because it's all about are people engaging. And my engagement rate with organic traffic was over a minute. It's still too low. If you want, because my goal is to get organic traffic to convert to be a paid client for you. Yeah. So you really need someone to spend up to 3 to 5 minutes on your website to really get them in to want to convert. Yeah. So I don't have enough time on page. However, my Facebook traffic, or my social media traffic, I should say, because I have a lot of social media out there, had the worst conversion rate. I don't think I even hit 12%. So that says people are finding me on social media, but it's not the client that I want to work with. And it's not the client that wants to work with me. Yeah. So it's amazing how those numbers can tell you that, though. So yeah, that's where I come in, and I'm like, let's see what our numbers are telling us, because numbers, you can interpret them differently, but they're not at the same time lying to you. So there's an issue if you're not getting that engagement rate you want.
Yeah. Well, that sounds interesting. Now I have several questions. Now the first part is, I know, like, just from that, I have so many questions. So the first one is, do I have to be like a techie person or like some HTML wizard, web designer guru to like add Google Analytics to my website and interpret the data? Or anyone can do it if I spend some time like on Google, I guess.
Yep, anyone can do it. And Google, the first thing you do is set up your Google Analytics account. So go to Google Analytics and create an account and just walk through the steps. When it comes to putting the tracker on your website, they actually give you details. And depending on what website you use, it's going to be different. So if you use WordPress, I recommend Monster Insights plugin. It works the best with Google Analytics and WordPress, and it literally is, they just search for the Gmail account you opened your Google Analytics account with, and they just match you up. So make sure it's a business account though. When you set up your Google Analytics, use your business email. That's the best recommendation I have for you.
Okay.
If it's like Wix, I have Wix, and I can tell you the pros and cons of all the websites out there. But if you use Wix, there's so much detail there. If you use Wix, you have to actually you have to copy a code, and there's a few more steps involved, but it's all out there. The other thing is I do help people set up their Google Analytics accounts and set up a measurement plan for them. So that is a service I do offer. Just because I can do it for you in like 10 minutes and it might take you an hour. So if you want it set up and done, I can do that for people.
Okay. Now my second question is this. So you're talking about how you went to your Google Analytics, then you went to your user acquisitions, and then you could see the data of one, what your traffic rate of just 50%, and two, what the time on page was, which was 1 minute. How do I phrase the question? So let's say you already have Google Analytics on your website. Let's say you had hired a web designer to do a website for you, and in the package was put in the Google code on your website. So you know it's there, but you've never really looked at it. So now you've gone to like analytics, the google.com, and you're staring at those wonderful graphs. How do I get to this point of seeing what my acquisition looks like?
So Google Analytics 4, which is the latest version, which is really what I'm talking about today, is on the left side of their screen, they have a navigation menu, and you literally just click acquisition, and you get 3 options: overview, user, and I think traffic are your 3 options. And you just go to acquisition and user traffic, and it pops up and it just gives you all the information when you hit the link. Once you hit that link, it literally will break it down into a bar graph at the bottom of the page, and it tells you where different traffic came from. So right now, social media on my site is popping up as none because it doesn't understand. I haven't put in the ramifications of what social media is. That's the one glitch I'm seeing on Google Analytics 4. I also have referral traffic, so people who are linked back to me or from my emails, and then organic traffic, and that's really where I dive in at. So it breaks down to those 3 rows, and then it's columned out with engagement rate, engagement percentage, engagement time. So I can literally see what traffic came in and how they engaged.
Oh, okay. So that's my first question.
It sounds...
I think that's my second question. Now my third question was about, you said you had gone to your social and you had a 12% is that engagement? Yeah, and then what stuck out for me was how you interpreted it to mean that the people you are getting either are not interested in you or you're not interested in them. So like, how do I get to that data, and how do I interpret the data like you have?
I know that if I had 100% engagement rate, it would be perfect. So anything that drops below 100% means the farther away I get, the less engagement, the less people are clicking on my page or scrolling. Okay. So for the first, 12% means not good.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess part of it is I understand the parameters of what you're looking for. If I had 100% of this is good. Yeah. Now, if you're using Google Analytics 3, they don't have engagement rate. They have bounce rate. And
Yes,
now it's going to be flipped.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yep. And bounce rate means you want to be closer to 0%, because bounce rate means people come to your website, they take one look and they bounce
Like,
away.
oh,
They're like,
bounce
oops.
off.
Yep.
Nope, not here. Yeet.
Yeah. It's exactly what they do. Yeah. And right now, like I have a client I just took on who her bounce rate is 87%. So that's right. I want to get that closer to 0.
Whoa. Okay. Wow. Now I have two questions for that tonight. So the first one is the 12% social media engagement. Will I still get that data on analytics, or do I go to like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter to look at all those?
So you get it on Google Analytics. It will tell you those percentage. Now, what you need to do is you need to go back to Facebook, and you're going to find all your posts that people clicked on the link.
Yeah.
So if you have, so like all my posts have my business link on them, so that if they click the post, they can go to my website.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Right? So I can see which post drove traffic to my website. And what that will tell me is what language was I using, because it's highly likely I didn't use my ideal client language. So I'm not using social media appropriately, because I'm just literally throwing marketing out there for anybody to see, and not really making sure that my ideal client is getting matched with my posts that I'm making.
Oh, okay. Okay, now that makes sense. And
Yeah.
so for your client with 85% bounce rate, wow. That's number one. Like, wow. Like, I just put it like 15 seconds on there. Like what's the solution for that? Because she already has Google Analytics on her website. Let's say she already had Google My Business set up. And if her bounce rate is still that high, then what's she supposed to do? She already set up analytics and Google My Business. What's my next step here?
Next step is you have to create your ideal client. You have to fully jump into understanding who your ideal client is. Because you can have all the web designers in the world create your website, and they won't make it for your ideal client. Meaning the language being used is language you would use for describing your business, but not how others describe you.
Oh.
So if you're already in business, this is so easy to do. All you're going to do is look at all your intake forms, go back and look over your social media posts and people who engaged. How do your users describe your business? The next step is find your favorite clients and make a list of all the words they've used to describe your business. And that's the language you want on your website.
Okay, doesn't this sound like a bit like narcissistic in a way? Like I'm going to all like your favorite client and all the good things to say about me, and like, yeah, let's have that.
Yep.
Let's have that. Let's have that. Like, aren't you?
So it's not just like those positive feel goods. How did they describe their problem when they first found you? So one of my big problems is I have a hard time talking about my ideal clients in their language. I'm really good at talking about data. Give me the data, but people don't care about that.
That's really. I mean, when you explain it in a way that I can relate to, I'm like, visibility online. Nobody's looking at this. 12% people are leaving my website. I will get that. You tell me bounce rates and like all that stuff. That's really.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that helps, right? But would you go looking for someone who could do that for you if you didn't know it was important? And you wouldn't. Your ideal client is looking for in their words, what are the words they are using, and that's what you want on your website. Yeah. So a great example is for my website, Google actually sends people to my about page, not my home page, because my about page is where I really jump in and I really go into the real reason why I started my business and all those feelies and the stats behind it, but I really get into the details that my people who look for me can relate to. My homepage, not so much.
Yeah.
I go too technical. I still go too technical on my home.
Oh, okay, now I get it. So,
Like Google,
wait, so like, how do you know your about page is better than your home page? Is that your about page has more traffic coming to it than your home page?
Yep. So there's two ways to know. If you do a Google search or look at your Google My Business page as in a search engine, so you can go to your Google My Business dashboard, click on the icon that says See on Maps. And when you see it on Maps, Google will recommend what page you should go visit for that website. On my Google My Business page, it recommends the About page for me. So most direct traffic, so most of my organic traffic comes in through Google My Business and going to my About page because that's the page that popped up in a search engine.
Okay.
So here's a key detail that most people don't realize. When search engines are bringing people to your website, it's actually taking them to web pages. It's finding keywords on a page and matching that to what the user put into the search bar. So it doesn't necessarily go to your website. It's going to a page on your website.
The website. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
It does. And I had to think about that. I'm like, oh yeah. So they're not just automatically taking people to your home page because that might not be where that ideal client language is.
Yeah, okay.
As in my case.
So does that mean that your next step now for you would be to edit the words on your homepage to be similar to what's on the About page?
Yep. Which would be really easy if I took the time to do that.
Different problems.
This is why people hire me to do it for them. That's why I need someone to do it for me.
Yeah. I see.
But the next step would be go over the page that people are being directed to and see what's that wording, and then bring that over to the homepage so that more people will go to the homepage instead. The other option would be let people go to your About page first, but make a call to action that really helps them. So I think right now my call to actions are all just go ahead and schedule an appointment, when really what it should be is I need to switch up my call to actions to go to my Main Street Consulting page so they learn more about what I do, which is where I have the video of the demo of me going over my own analytics and kind of ripping myself apart.
Yeah, that was fun. I want to watch that. No, I would learn from that. I will definitely learn from this. I have the same problem as well because I have analytics on my website. I have Google Console also configured and everything. Good. But I think the last time I looked at it was like 3 months ago. And that was just because I was adding like another website or the subdomain that I had to look at it. But I've not like looked at it properly. So I have worse stats than you.
So you have a step up. Because of Search Console, you have that one step that most people don't have. You can go to your Search Console and see what keywords search engines are connecting to your website. Are they the keywords you want people to use to find you? Because if not, you need to switch those words to start getting the people. So just because it's there doesn't mean you need to keep it that way. Yeah. So what was mine? I had a really weird one on mine. Google sent people who were looking for something like, you look at a word that was put in a search engine and you're like, why did they recommend me? Like where in my website does that pop up as something I would do? It had nothing to do with business. It was, my hypnotherapist had one where he was getting a lot of search engines were directing him, people to his website for colonoscopies. He does not do colonoscopies.
What are these websites resonated with them do? Like, what exactly resonated? Wow.
So what the relation is the pain point he thought his clients had are the same pain point that people who are going through colonoscopies had. Okay. So we had to change the wording so that people who were really looking for that colonoscopy information weren't finding him.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, because at the end of the day, Google is a computer. It doesn't understand intent.
Yeah,
They're
it's not a
working on
human
it,
being.
and they,
Yeah.
right? AI is getting better, but at the same time, you really got the English language is very unique. I mean, it's bastardized language of all other languages. So you got to be really detailed and drill down into what is the computer going to interpret this word to mean.
Okay. Okay. So we've mentioned a bit about Google Console, which I have. So we've just talked about Google My Business. So first question, what's the major difference in terms of online visibility between Search Console and Google My Business? Like if I'm a straight business, a Main Street business, which do I need? Do I need Google Console or do I need Google My Business or do I need both? What advice would you have?
Yep. So first thing you do if you have a business that isn't like Etsy or Zazzle or a shop like that is you want Google My Business. Search Console works more with Google Analytics and it's going to give you data. So Google My Business is the place to start because Google and other search engines are going to direct people to your business page. So that's why you want Google My Business. You also want to make sure that all those keywords that you use are on your Google business page. So I'm a small business consultant, but in my description, I have to make sure I use Main Street businesses or small business or local business.
Yeah.
I don't use local SEO on mine because I don't know how many business owners really search for someone who can do local search engine optimization. Like
Okay.
that, I think that's more of a techie term. And
Yes.
I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I could
probably,
be so wrong.
probably. I would know what it is, but I don't think like any of my clients would know what it means. Like
Right?
I don't want know what a 3-pack is. So yeah, probably
Yeah.
not.
So if you have Google My Business set up and you have Google Analytics set up, then you want to step up to make sure you have search or your Search Console set up, because that Search Console will now give you the details of what people put into search engines to find you. And now you're going to know do I have the right wording on my website to find the ideal client, or is the absolute wrong person finding me? And that's why my bounce rate's at 85%.
Yeah.
Which I will tell you it is so normal. Every client I've ever worked with, when we started, their bounce rate was between 80, I think the highest I've seen it at was 97% bounce rate. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That,
almost 100.
And that means, and when you get that, that's really because your ideal client language is based on how you describe your business. It's not on how your ideal client uses your business.
Okay.
So,
that means like most of our problems is practically copywriting. In a way,
yeah.
It's like get a copywriter, damn it, and solve your problems.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so one of the things what I do for people is I bring a user focus. I'm customer focused for your business. So, a lot of my clients will be talking about, the language they're using on their website. And I'll be like, but how is your customer finding you? Is that their language? And, it takes them a moment to stop and think and realize, oh, no, when they talk to me, they use these words. Okay, those are the words you want to use on your website.
And how does one set up a Google My Business profile?
So this is where it gets tricky. The first half is really easy. You're going to go to Google My Business and you're going to create an account. You're going to put in your details. People who are just setting up now, you have to put in a street address. So if you are a home-based business like myself, you don't have to use your home address if you're willing to do the UPS box and have a street address associated with that box, or you have a regent who handles all your business mail, then you can use your regent's address because all your mail will be sent there. But you have to have a street address. PO boxes don't work. Once you have all your information filled in, Google is going to send you a postcard with a verification code. You have to enter that verification code into your Google My Business profile to make your page active.
That's a lot of work.
The tricky part, yeah. Is half the people I've talked to before, or they put the code in and Google doesn't recognize the code.
Why? That's not the code though. Maybe they like did like resend, and now the numerous codes.
Yep, and they only will resend twice.
After twice, what happens?
After twice, they lock you out of your account.
What the crap?
Right?
This is quite unfair.
Right. For Google, a lot of their problems come down. There's so many businesses that are fake, and they're setting up fake accounts to scam people. So what they're trying to do is eliminate that. However, a lot of honest business people are getting washed up in all that other crap that's going on. So if you're going to set up a Google My Business page, look at your calendar. If you plan on going on vacation in the next month, don't set up your Google My Business page.
Your entire month around Google.
Yeah, right? Yeah, just to set up a page, right? Yeah, not exciting. Not exciting in my world. Yeah. But you got to play by their rules if you're going to use them. And again, if you're not on Google, your ideal client's not going to find you. So you have to go where the people are.
Yeah. Okay, so now here's a scenario. I've somehow miraculously, despite almost failing my 2 trials, set up my Google My Business page. I have Google Analytics on my website, and I'm trying to get some data, and maybe my engagement rate is not as high as I want it to be, or maybe I have like a very high bounce rate, or maybe let's say I wrote a blog post, I shared it on my Facebook page, somebody clicked it, came to my website, but then they don't really stay long after like with my website. What do I fix?
So first thing you want to look at is, what was the language used, and is it your ideal client? If you think you're doing that right, look at the page you're directing people to. So like right now I direct everybody to my, from Facebook and social media to my homepage, but maybe I need to look at sending everybody to my about page. Google sends people there, and if Google is sending my organic traffic there and I've got a 50% engagement rate, maybe that's where I need to send people to first.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to look at the flow. If you have Google Analytics 3, you have my favorite part of G3 is the behavioral flow. So if you go to the left navigation menu and click on behavior flow, it is a map of how users walk through your website.
Oh.
So you can actually see what pages people landed on and which pages had the most people move on to the rest of your website. So I would go back now and look at Google Analytics 3 and say, okay, if everyone is coming in on my about page, can I confirm that I have the most engagement and people moving through from the about page? So you want to see what page has the most through traffic. And that's how they actually label it. It's drop off. Oh. Yep. So look for drop off traffic or through traffic. And the traffic that's through, that's the traffic you want to go back and look at that page and see what are you doing differently. And okay, so now that's what you want to incorporate.
Yeah. Talk about Google Analytics 3 and Analytics 4. Are there like different platforms, or am I like upgrading my 3 to 4?
You both. Both. So it is the next level platform, but the platform changed so drastically. There are websites that actually can't handle Google Analytics 4 yet because what they do is so different. Yeah. The other thing, Google Analytics 4 really changed up because of the EU cookie policy, as well as California law on cookies and privacy data.
Okay.
So if you do not have a cookie consent bar or a privacy policy page on your website, Google Analytics 4 will not run. So if you have G4 set up and no data is being collected, you have to put an accept or decline cookie consent bar on your website. And you have to list what your data privacy policy is.
Whoa, okay.
Yep.
I do not have, okay, I have a privacy policy, but I don't have a cookie consent thingy. And I'm on WordPress. I'll probably find a plugin for that.
Super easy. And if you go to, because half my clients use WordPress, so, and they use different plugins based on their theme. So if you go to, you know, add a new plugin and put cookie consent, it will pop up with the #1 consent tool you should use for your theme.
Okay, well, try. I use DV, although I'm probably gonna change that because it's quite heavy on the website. I'm gonna change that to something else. When I think of what something else would be, probably Elementor or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm helping a client right now switch to Elementor, and she was looking at Hello for her new theme.
Would you recommend Elementor over DV?
I do. I'm not a developer. I don't code, but talking to people who do that, Elementor is the #1 one to go with right now.
Okay. I hope I can find like Elementor settings that will still make the website look similar to how it looks like right now.
Right. Yeah, that is always the trick.
Unless I have to like redo the entire branding of the websites and the subdomain websites. I don't wanna.
I don't wanna either. That just made my heart hurt. I'm like, oh, that sounds like so much work.
Oh wow. Okay, I'll look into that. And so let's see. So let's say it's sort of I wrote this question somewhere, but okay. So is that a dog?
I would be on your side. I don't have any dogs here. I have cats.
Okay, I'm just gonna ignore the dog.
Sounds good. I'm good.
Yeah. So I'm a small business owner. Now I know I need to have Google My Business, and I know I need to have Google Analytics. I know it's going to help me understand what language my clients are using, so I can at least change what's on my website. And I know it will help me see like, okay, which page on my website is getting the most traffic, and how can I optimize other pages on my website to sort of match that in a way.
Yep.
And so this entire process, is it like a 1 month thing, a 2 month thing, or like a very quick, in one day I get this stuff over with?
No, it's like 6 to 8 months.
Holy crap! Jesus! An entire year, man.
And here's the thing. Other people that do something similar to me, they will take a full year. Because I'm so data driven and I understand the human behavior with the data, I can typically get it done in 6 months. I always add in a 2-month buffer in case there's issues, because I'm not going to leave a project unless we've got results. So you're going to be stuck with me until the results, we're getting what we need to. But I have tools to help. And that's the other thing, is because I'm a business analyst and my whole process is root cause analysis. It means I have different tools I take SWOT strategy, which is a SWOT analysis on steroids, as I like to call it. You take your SWOT analysis and add another level. Now you're at a SWOT strategy. How do you make a business strategy from a SWOT analysis? I also do like the 5 whys technique. I will look at you and we'll go, why? And why does that work? And why would that happen? And why would we do that?
That sounds like a very frustrating session. I'm like, stop asking me why.
It's like, oh my God. Yeah, stop being the toddler, right? But the toddler technique, I call it the toddler technique. It works really well because we got to get to the core of what your client is looking for. What is that root cause that they're coming in? You think of a tree and you think of all the branches as problems. They're not growing randomly up there. They had to start somewhere. Where did the problem start? And that's what my tools do. So because of my business analyst background, I've got all these tools so that I can get us on track and getting our ideal client language down within the first couple days, but it's going to take us a full 6 months to really make sure that we're getting the results we need with that right data.
Oh, so it means it'll take me say 6 months-ish, 8 months, start seeing the results that I want.
Yeah.
Well, I need
Yep.
to get
Because
a load of patience.
yeah, and nothing is quick. Like especially when it comes to algorithms, and Google changes up how they determine who goes where, like 500 to 600 times a day, or 500 to 600 times a year, I read somewhere. So your whole focus is, don't focus on how search engines match you. Focus on your client. Focus on being customer first, and that will get you the data you need.
Okay. And like I'm sure every business owner who has some online presence as head of SEO over and over and over and over again. And so like
Yeah.
as what would we say what we are doing right now is part of SEO?
Yeah. Yep. So what I do for the small business owner is I show them how search engine optimization works on a basic level. Like, this isn't corporate. We're not going international here. We're staying local. This is the local things you need to consider for your business. So I do search engine optimization, but I take it the next step, and we also do search engine marketing. So how is it we're marketing you to from an organic point? So how, because that's search engine optimization means you have Google Analytics and you're measuring what's happening. But the search engine marketing is, you're really just trying to use organic traffic to drive business, but you're not measuring anything. So if you think you're doing SEO, but you're not measuring, you're actually doing SEM, search engine marketing.
Okay, and that's pretty much most of my questions. You had mentioned that you had like the 40 minutes of you roasting your website. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Where can I find that? That sounds delightful.
It does.
Where can I get that? Like therapy, just watch you roast yourself.
So that therapy is actually on my website, and it's under, my website is, and it's long, and I apologize. It is AMG Innovative Consultants.com with an S at the end of consultants. And it's on my Main Street Consulting page. I have at the very top of the page, I kind of talk about what it is I do, and I have a picture of me next to demo of service button.
Okay. Oh.
Click the button. Yep, click the button and it takes you to my Loom videos, because I do use Loom for everything. When I walk people, yeah, every week I send out Loom videos to my clients of a walkthrough of their Google Analytics, and I show them what I'm seeing and how I'm interpreting it. So they actually see Google Analytics. My goal is that by the time I'm done, then they're going to be able to go, oh, hey, I remember Amy did this every single week. And now I know what. Yeah, because it doesn't do you any good. Yeah, because it doesn't do you any good if I leave and you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
So you need to be able to do this by the time we're done working together.
Woo, go Amy! This has been such a fun interview. Okay, so now, so we know you roast yourself, and we know like every week you sort of do the Loom videos for your clients. So now let's say I'm watching this, or I'm listening to this, and something in here has resonated with me, and I have watched you roast yourself for 40 minutes. So now what's my next step? How do I start working with Amy so she can like handle my mess for the next 6 to 8 months?
The next step is schedule an appointment, and it's super easy. On my website, it's schedule an appointment. What it is, it's a free 45-minute strategy session, and we're going to talk about your business, your pain points, and we're going to make sure that what I do is a fit to help you succeed. We need to make sure that, because I can't help everybody, and there's going to be some issues you might be having that are beyond what I can do. So this is a great time for us to really dig deep, and you have to be open and talk about your problems so that I can be, okay, this is where I think we need to go. Because on top of the local SEO, I'm going to talk to you about automations, and are you using a CRM, and how can we free up your time so you can really work on your business and reach your goals. Because if all of our local SEO work comes to fruition, and all of a sudden you're just doing all this business, you're not set up for success if you don't have automation in place too. So I look at your whole business.
Yeah, I'm going to do like that toddler technique of why
Yeah.
during these 45 minutes. We're gonna do that.
Yeah, why would you do that? And why would you need that?
I know. It's like why? Just come out feeling stressed, like Amy.
Yep. Business analysts, we're just toddlers at heart.
Yeah. Oh my God. Now my last question for the session. And so like, are there like some misconceptions that people you've worked with have about Google Analytics or Google My Business, or just something you think is like a no-brainer that they should know, and then you're like shocked when they don't really understand what you think is like, hey, this is very simple. How come you don't know this? Is this still like that?
Actually, the one thing that has surprised me the most is how many people think Google My Business Insights is Google Analytics. And Google My Business is, you have to think of Google My Business like a social media platform. You should be, posting on there once a week and talking about your business once a week, spend like 5 minutes a day or 5 minutes a week. That's all you need. But they think that seeing the insights on their Google My Business is everything you need. And it's not. Just like Facebook Insights and Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn, all those analytical data they give you is just a glossy overview. It doesn't give you true details. That's what the Google Analytics is for. It helps you take that glossed over image that you get on different insights and digs down deep. So that's been my biggest learning, especially this month, is that people think Google My Business and Google Analytics are the same thing. And they're not. They're two different
my
things.
annoyance with it is that the stats I get in insights, like if I also look at like the numbers and I look at this and the overview of Google Analytics, it's always like a few digits off.
Yes.
Yeah, it's never like the exact same. Like, damn it, one of you is lying.
So the difference is going to come in is Google Analytics is looking at all your web traffic. So all areas for your web traffic, so social media, referrals, and organic search. And if you have paid advertising and all the different links. Google My Business Insights is just the traffic for insights. So that's the difference in numbers.
Well, I learned something new today.
Yeah.
Woo! Oh, okay, so I've learned that. And we had mentioned console briefly. So I guess console comes in after you have Google Analytics and Google My Business. Then you can now have console.
Yep. That's the steps I take, because I think analytics and business are more important. Search Console is the next third one that you really do need. It's a separate account though. So, it's setting up a whole nother Google account. One thing to know with Google is because of all the data privacy issues, they've gone very strict with how they use your data. So issues people have had in the past are like, well, Google's selling my data and blah, blah, blah. They're not doing that. They're much stricter on how that data is being used. So, but they're also cracking down on users as well. So just be aware of that.
Right, that's so my question. You have a question for me now.
Yeah. Oh, did I lose you?
No, I can still see you.
Okay, we're good.
Very good.
Yeah.
It's been like a very bubbly, laughy interview. We just like it's been fun.
Yeah. If it helps, my nickname is Giggles.
The G is for Amy.
Yeah. It is, absolutely. Yep.
I can definitely say that. So thank you so much for coming for the podcast. I have learned a lot. I definitely need to go look at my cookie consent forms and data privacy and look at that.
Yep.
And I'm going to go watch you roast yourself for 40 minutes and then make some notes on what you're doing, because I've not looked at my analytics in 3 months. So I probably need to look at it to figure out what I'm doing wrong. Because there is definitely something I'm doing wrong.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. This was so much fun. I appreciated it.
Oh, yeah. Bye.
Bye.